Greetings, everybody, and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So here we are, day number 10 of the series we're doing for the month of December, entitled Progressive Rock Solo Artist Album Wars. So we have two interesting solo artists today. Both of them, I like the bands they come from quite a bit. And generally speaking, well, mostly speaking, I tend to like the bands they came with more than I do the artists. In fact, it's a very rare event when I've actually liked an individual solo artist more than his band, because I generally love the bands, and that's usually what happens. So today we have two good albums from two good artists. Robert Fripp and his Exposure album from 1979 is up against Phish's Sunsets on the Empire from 1997. I have to say I had not listened to either of these albums before, although I had known about the Robert Fripp one for some time. I just never had gotten into them. So they actually both turned out to be better than I had anticipated them being, and I like them both quite a bit. So we'll start with Robert Fripp's Exposure from 1979. The notable thing about this is there's quite a few people on this album that are notable people. Brian Eno's on here, Peter Gabriel is on here, Phil Collins actually plays some drums on here as well. Jerry Marotta, I think he's playing some drums as well. Somebody else, can't remember offhand, it might come to me. Anyways, really pretty solid album. There are some kind of quirky things, but you're going to get that with Robert Fripp. There's maybe 2 or 3 songs on here, really short, kind of weird songs that don't really fit into anything that I can see. But he's got quite a bit of hard rock on here. There's a lot of hard guitar playing, great solos. He does have a couple of punk moments here. I wouldn't say that the song is punk or anything, but there's definitely a punk edge to a couple of the tunes on here. Of course, you got your hard rock stuff. There's some softer, commercially stuff. Of course, there's progressive rock on here as well. Not a ton of it, but there are some of it. I think his guitar abilities are great on this album. The songs, not terribly memory, but not bad. My favorite, of course, was the vocal song by Peter Gabriel, who I knew it was Peter Gabriel as soon as he started singing, and I just like that one the most. So a very solid album. It's an album that I would look for, and if I could get it for a reasonable price, I'd probably take it. But the album it's up against, Phish Sunsets on the Empire. This is my first exposure to Phish as a solo artist. I loved his stuff with Marillion. I still love his stuff with Marillion. I had heard that the stuff under his label was good, but not necessarily that progressive, so I had shied away from it for that reason. But I was pleasantly surprised. This is a strong album. It does have some progressive elements to it. I would say it has more hard rock elements to it than any other element. It does, of course, have some poppy feel to it as well, and there's some love themes on here, which there is on Marillion, but not nearly as much as there is on here. I think there's some really catchy songs on here. Especially the guitar parts, I think, are strong. His vocals, I don't think, are as good on this album as I'm used to getting from him. I don't think they're terrible or bad or anything. I just think that it seems to be not as good as some of the stuff on Marillion as far as the vocal parts go. Overall, though, the album is pretty solid. It's an album I would definitely get. Actually, I did actually see this album when I went and did my album buying last week, or earlier this week. There was 2 or 3 of his albums there, but I hadn't had any exposure to him, so I didn't want to start buying up stuff that I could buy other stuff that I did have exposure to. No puns intended. So yeah, I did like this album quite a bit. It's definitely an album that I would own for sure. and is probably going to win this battle just because I think the heaviness of it and the catchiness of some of the tunes outweigh anything that I heard on Robert Fripp's album. I think Fripp's album is one of those albums that you need to listen to it and let it kind of slowly take you by storm, as they might say. Usually I find with King Crimson albums is I tend to listen to them as background while I'm doing stuff, and then I start listening to them directly because I get into them. And that would probably be the same thing with the Robert Fripp album here. And I think it's a decent album. I just think it just came up against I think a bit of a stronger album in Sunsets of an Empire. I like this a little bit more. And so with that, I'm going to give Fish the win here, and he's going to go into the next round. Very good album from 1997. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. They're much appreciated. Any comments about either of the albums that you think deserves attention, you can put those in the comments section below. And of course, you want to be notified of these videos, please hit the notification bell. So anyways, we'll be back with day number 11 of progressive rock solo artists, and it just completely went out of my mind. Progressive rock solo artist album wars. Yeah, I got to that point and just blank. I drew a blank. So anyways, that never happens, right? Yeah. Okay. Have a good one. Take care.